What is up, guys, and welcome back to Fireside Farms. Today is cold, or cold to me, and I have a couple chores to get done outside, and then I'm gonna do a little quick overview of the garden. But just because it's cold doesn't mean we don't have a lot to do, so let's get started. I refuse to come back for my camera. Nice. All right, so with this hay, if you guys saw my other video, which I'll link above, about testing hay or straw for persistent herbicides, I didn't check my neighbor's whole pile of hay. It's from multiple bales of hay. It might be from multiple growers, depending on where they source their hay from. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is it's going to be impossible to test everything. I am not worried about this. I have used their hay multiple times, tested multiple batches, and I've never had a problem with it in my garden. So I'm going to go ahead and use, but I do want to make the disclaimer that I didn't state in my previous video. Obviously, that would only work if you knew that that specific bale of hay or straw came from one location on one farm. You know what I mean? So it's not a foolproof method, but I also am not going to live my gardening existence in fear, and I really need mulch right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this hay and spread it in my front landscaping, which I don't know if I've shown you guys yet. Well, I guess you're about to see it. There's not much to see. Most of it has died. Alright guys, so what I have in my front yard are 2 oleanders that I did not get planted before the frosts came. So I don't really have a good spot to overwinter potted plants here. My garage is on the north side of my house, so they can't stay in there because they won't get any sun. The barn only gets eastern sun, and it's still outside, it's still freezing, and it's one of the coldest parts of my property. So I'm sure this is probably not recommended. But what I'm gonna do is I've got the holes. See, we even dug the holes and I still never planted them. But anyways, so we've dug the holes, and I'm thinking that we just covered basically everything here with the hay to keep it warm so the whole pots don't freeze this winter. I don't want to fill it with sand because then we'll be digging out a hole to take these pots out of the hole. Whatever. So I just want to fill these with straw. That'll still give me access to water them over the winter and provide some protection. And they'll still get sun. If this is a terrible idea, I'm sure somebody will let me know in the comments. hooray! Ugh. So I came out here the other day and harvested all of my cabbage plants. I also learned something pretty funny. Watch. So if you see these leaves here, they're some scattered here. I found out that Freya has been eating the cabbage leaves because I fed them to the dogs. I fed them to the dogs inside just because one of my dogs, Bradley, loves eating everything. I can toss him carrots, lettuce, he'll eat anything. And so will Freya, so she found out she loves cabbage leaves, and I caught her out here munching on the cabbage leaves. Not why I picked the cabbage though. I came out here the other day and I saw that one of the cauliflowers I could see it coming out of the leaves, the white of the cauliflower. And I was like, yeah, I get to pick one, it's finally ready. And then I opened up all the leaves and it was brown and mushy on the top. I didn't realize it had been getting too cold for the cauliflowers. They were mostly covered. I'd even wrapped some of them in their own leaves. I lost about 3 cauliflowers, but I still harvested 5. I'm super happy. This is the first time I've successfully grown cauliflower, so I'm plenty happy with that. Like I've said countless times before, I still need to get another thermometer. Not that that would have helped me necessarily. I knew it's been getting cold at night and I was just kind of letting them go to see. I don't really know what I think was gonna happen. I'm testing to see how cold they can tolerate, and I found what they couldn't tolerate. So anyways, I took all my cauliflower out. I still have broccoli though. So I have picked some of these guys, but let's see, I cut that one off. This one I have not cut off yet. So some of these I did harvest and some I didn't. I want to see if they will still grow because they are awfully small. And it's supposed to be getting a lot colder. That's why I did pull some of them. I think the whole forecast this week is in the low 20s, so I know it's going to be getting in the teens at my place. So my reasoning is if I leave them in and they freeze, all I'm losing is like a little bite. It's just a little guy. It's just a little guy. So I'd be losing just that little bite of food if I left it out and it froze, but I'm gaining a lot more knowledge if I can test how cold this variety of broccoli can go. So pick some, leave some, I'm good with it. I also pulled up one of my 2 cabbages I had here last night and made a delicious kielbasa and cabbage and potato soup. So January and February are our coldest months here, and as we're heading into January, a lot of these plants, these brassicas in here, are broccoli and cauliflowers, and they're growing, they're still alive. They probably will not produce any edible food within the next 2 months because of the temperatures and the lack of sunlight. I'm not going to rip them out because everything's an experiment and I want to see if they could kickstart in the spring. If they don't, I don't have a problem ripping them out to make room for my spring plants next year when that comes. But for now, they're adding fertility to the soil and keeping the soil intact with their root systems and their leaves. So I'm just gonna leave them. And I can harvest greens off of them all winter long, so that's super cool. As for the plants I do still have producing, these rutabagas are still in the ground. They're not growing much more foliage, or roots for that matter, but the roots are protected with a gracious layer of mulch. So with those rutabagas, I can actually store them in the ground through most of the winter and just pull them up as I need to, which I have been doing. And my leeks are still doing well. I'm harvesting them as I need them for meals. I actually did put one leek in that soup that I made last night. And of course, I'm still growing salad greens. Most everything here is still alive. The yarrow, the calendula, the plants all throughout the garden. They're just not going to be growing real well at this time because of the temperature and the shorter daylight hours. And the Brussels sprouts are coming along just fine. Although, I don't know how big they're gonna get before I need to pull them. It's my first year growing them, so I am very happy with what they have done so far. And super excited to see what I can get done next year. See, some of these guys are pretty big. But all in all, that's about it, guys. There's not a whole lot growing in the winter. Well, there's a lot growing in my garden. There's just not a whole lot of changes. I'm interested to see if the whole garden dies out this year. I know with the weather changes and various things you hear on social media and the internet, it may be a colder year than usual. But I'll be interested to see. Well, sorry guys, my camera died at the last minute. But I want to say bye. So bye, until the next one.